Welcome everybody to Local Yokel, the podcast dedicated to animal sounds found around the farm. Last week was Moo. With me this week is Stephen Robles. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I didn't have an animal sound prepared. I'm sorry.
I stole your moo as the serial cow tipper. I assume that's the one you wanted.
You know, it's funny. You make these comments not understanding that I might have a history in what you're saying. I have been to Wauchula, Florida. But I'm not going to say any more because I don't know if cow tipping is illegal. So anyway, let's get into the show right now. Listen, we have amazing listeners. Our audience is incredible. And we actually wanted to start giving shout outs to everyone. We have had 8 5-star reviews in Apple Podcasts just in the last few weeks. And so because you guys are awesome, we want to start giving you guys shout outs. And you guys are like writing full on like posts in these reviews, which is amazing. There's like questions in there too, which is awesome. Now the names in Apple Podcast reviews get a little weird. Like, I don't know, you know, some of it is just like random letters and numbers, but
that's
you'll know
their
who
given
you
name
are.
and you're now mocking them. They are going to be
No.
Their
Well, listen.
parents named them GTI_13 and you have offended them greatly. They're going to change it to a 2-star review.
I'm so sorry. No. So sorry. Don't change your review. You could leave another 5-star. That's fine. No, but Silly JB from the USA, Ron1124, Johnson K. I didn't think it was through before that. I'm butchering all of these. I'm so sorry. GTI 13, as Andrew mentioned. Thank you for doing that. Tim Rand, that's probably like a real name. Thank you, Tim. I think I've seen Tim around Twitter. So thank you, Tim. James F. Fitt. He is from Great Britain. We have a lot of listeners over there in the UK, so thank you for that. News Guy 42201. Thank you for your review. And this guy's from New Zealand. We got listeners like on the opposite side of the globe, Andrew. Asterix NZ. Which, that's a pretty good name. Asterix with an X. That's pretty good. Yeah. So anyway, Thank you to everyone for subscribing. I think our YouTube channel is at like 1.2K now. It keeps going up. I don't even have to put glitter in my beard again.
I think so.
Keeps going up. It's awesome. So thank you guys. You guys are awesome. We appreciate your support. Also, I want to plug next week. We actually have a very special guest coming on the show. No,
tell us.
Who?
We want to know now.
Jennifer Toohey from The Verge. TheVerge.com, which is, I don't know, you might have heard of The Verge. It's a little website. They cover technology and things like that. But Jennifer Toohey is actually one of their first smart home reporters, actually covering the smart home space. She did a special episode of the Vergecast with Dieter Bohn on Matter. And so she's actually going to come on the show, and we're going to talk about HomeKit and smart home stuff. So next week, you got to tune in. It's going to be awesome. Thank you, Jennifer. All right. We'll get to some news, Andrew. Yesterday, I had to update every single one of my devices throughout the entire house because iOS 15.3, iPadOS 15.3, watchOS 8.4, tvOS 15.3, HomePod OS, which is not really a thing, is 15.3, everything. Everything got updated. And I actually wanted to mention, I don't know, did you notice any big improvements? I noticed one in the HomeKit arena.
No, not really. Improved. I mean, I'd been beta testing most of these things for a while, so it's sometimes, unexciting for me when a release comes out because it's something that I've been playing with for maybe a couple months, maybe. So I didn't know, there wasn't anything specifically that I noticed in these updates as it pertains to HomeKit out of the gate. The biggest change from all of them is probably the fact that there was a new watch face available, Unity Lights, which has nothing to do with HomeKit or anything. That's right. But it was hidden until Apple made their PR announcement on Tuesday. So that was ready to go. But that was pretty much the biggest thing that I noticed in there from me and my side.
So I noticed, because I saw some people talking on Twitter about this, is when you open the Home app, if you have HomeKit cameras in there, the thumbnails were super old. And I had been noticing that whenever I opened it, the thumbnails were hours old, maybe even yesterday, basically the last time I opened the app. But I did notice with the new iOS 15.3 update that those thumbnails are now seconds old now. And so, it actually has a few seconds here and there. And I don't even have to tap into the camera to kind of see a recent shot. So that was a very welcome update. One other thing I noticed, which was interesting, I took a screenshot because I thought you would think I was crazy. But the HomePod update, because HomePods were updated also, it said 15.3. Let me turn the brightness down so it actually looks okay on camera. It said that 15.3 adds Siri voice recognition support for up to 6 users in a home. Now, I thought, because I have multiple users in my home, I was able to turn on voice recognition. I thought that was already a thing. Was it only for one person? Or is this like a bug
it's
fix?
now coming to other countries. It's been okay. I keep looking here where your picture is, like I'm talking to you, and I need to. I know the camera. But no, it's coming to additional countries, not just the U.S. So yes, there was already the multi-voice recognition in the U.S. and now it's expanding to additional countries.
I wonder. It says India English here as one of the countries. Do you think that my son actually has his Siri set up for the Indian voice for English? Do you think that would have affected voice recognition? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, okay, that's interesting. So it's coming to new countries, also performance and stability improvements, which, we have people always talking about shortcuts and weird things that HomePod is doing. So let us know if you see improvements. I know that the camera thing in the Home app was definitely fixed. It's an improvement. And, it was a big point update. It's 0.3, but there's not really new features for iPhone or anything. There was some Safari bug fixes where your history, used to be on the dark web, and now it's not. I'm just kidding. It's not really that. But it did fix some kind of, what do you call it? Vulnerability for Safari browsing history or something like that. So there you go. Very cool. All right. Next piece of news, I wanted to highlight. This is actually an article from HomeKit Authority. He put together all of the compatible door locks that are currently working with HomeKey. It's not a huge list because there's only a couple. It's basically the Schleg. I think I pronounced that right.
Look,
I think I got it.
Go.
I think I did it.
Go. Using words.
That's right. Pronouncing it properly. And then things. And then the Akari A1. Akari. I got the Schleg, and then I messed up Akara. Whatever. I don't know what just happened. The Akara A100, which is not available in the U.S. yet, but is that super futuristic-looking lock. So I think he's going to be keeping this updated. So that's cool. Very welcome to see what locks support HomeKey. Then this piece of news looks really cool. So Nanoleaf, we all know Nanoleaf. They do the shapes on the wall. They have those cool lines thing that you did a review of a few months ago. They actually are partnering with Hafa, not a company I've not heard of. They're making a smart mirror with thread. Now the mirror, it's not like the mirror has a screen in it or anything, but this mirror has a ring light around it, I guess to really help, if you're doing makeup or something in the ring or shaving and you really want that good light on your face. It'll actually have thread and HomeKit support in this light ring around. It's circle. It's just a circle ring. And you can change the color temperature, but looks pretty cool. It's not going to be cheap. It looks like this might be like several $100s, like around $600. At least that's what the conversion is right now. We'll have to see if and when it comes to the U.S. But I thought that was a cool idea. Kind of a vanity mirror, smart light mirror thing.
Yeah.
There you go.
I agree. We had that one that I saw out at CES that had AirPlay 2 / HomeKit built into it, which was pretty neat. But they didn't have lights, and I thought that was like the one missing opportunity there. Like, you've got a smart mirror, you've got HomeKit, you've already went through that HomeKit certification, and you don't have any lights around the mirror, the vanity, anything like that. So I thought that was a missed opportunity with them. So I think this is a great option to have.
Yeah, very cool. All right, so that's that one. And final piece of news, Philips Hue has a trio of HomeKit compatible outdoor wall lights that are going to be coming out. So we all know Philips Hue, lots of stuff. They're actually coming out with lights that will literally go for the outdoors, outside. They can mount to like the wall, things like that. Looking to be around like $100 or so. This is coming early March, possibly even March 1st to the US and Canada. And again, there's 3 different lights. They range from like $100 to $170 or $160 it looks like. But welcome additions. Cool to have outside wall lights that actually change color if you wanted to do
I know.
that.
I like the sconces a lot. Those look really neat.
Sconces. Look
Sconces.
at you. It's fancy. So yeah. So that was the news. Now I wanted to give an update because I think it was on last week's show, maybe it was 2 weeks, where I bought the Wemo Stage controller on air, as I do, as customary. For sure. And I have to say, it's kind of the first physical HomeKit control I think I've had, maybe ever. I don't think I've had like buttons and stuff like that. And I have to say, it is amazing. to be able to control.
I was wondering how that was
HomeKit
going to go.
scenes.
I was expecting like, yeah, Andrew was wrong and it sucks. Like that's what I was half expecting you to say somehow, and I'm glad that that is not what you said.
It is no. It is awesome. So I know you've explained this before, but it was new to me. You know, you basically have 6 triggers, short presses on 3 buttons, long presses. And the reason why I got it is because I have some scenes set up for my kids' room that turns off the lights. It has a light strip that dims down, and then we play music at night, like just like soft instrumental music. And my 5-year-old daughter was always the one who wanted to trigger it, but she could never get Siri to get it. I would try to program shortcuts with unique phrases. I did like chocolate dog as a shortcut name because I was like, that has enough consonants and is unique enough where I think it should be able to trigger the voice. But I don't know if me scheduling or me creating the shortcut doesn't allow her to run it because it's her voice. I'm not sure. So Siri just was not triggering the scenes consistently, and it was kind of an annoying thing every night where kids are yelling at the HomePod and it's not doing anything. So Wemo Stage controller, I programmed the scene at the press of a button. One button adjusts all the lights in the scene, and then the second button starts playing a specific album on repeat on the HomePod in their room, and it is beautiful. They don't have to yell at Siri. They don't have to even talk to the HomePod. They just press one button and everything triggers, and it's awesome. It did take me a second. I had never, I guess, scheduled or programmed music to play in a scene, and I was racking my brain because I was trying to do it from a shortcut. I was like, create shortcut, play an album, and let this be the trigger, and it was not working. I didn't realize when you set up like the Wemo Stage controller for this HomeKit scene, you just choose a HomePod as one of the devices you want to control. You know, you have all your home devices. You just choose the HomePod, and when you do that, you can select a playlist, a specific album, a song, and even set it to repeat and set the volume all in one go. And that is part of the HomeKit scene specifically for HomeKit. And you don't have to mess with a shortcut at all. So once I realized that, it's beautiful. And then the long press pauses the music if they want to do that. And then I did the third button as like a good morning, turns on the lights to a dimmer setting. And it's just awesome. It took a while for the Wemo Stage controller to find its update. You know, that was the big news, was that it had the Thread update, which the firmware I think is 2.9.3 with Thread. And for some reason, the Home app was just not like surfacing the update. Like I would refresh.
296, but it's a lot.
Is it 296?
Maybe. I said the number a lot, and 296 feels like it's right, but I don't actually know. So,
well, I'm going to go right here to my home Wemo Stage. No, you're right. 2.9.6.
I wrote that 2 weeks ago, and I still have 296 burned into my brain.
Amazing. Oh, apparently that update also adds double presses.
Yeah,
that wasn't there before the update.
No, and I had to go and revise stuff because the original one, you had a single press and a long press. You had 6 total, and then now they added the double press in there, so there's 3 controls for each button. So there are 9 commands available for the remote. And then when you get into conditionals, it's like unlimited. Like each of those can go check the status of a light and then perform an action, and it's a lot. You can do a ton with those buttons if A, you remember what they do, and B, program them all.
That's amazing. And this is like when you choose a HomePod, this is the controls you get right there when you choose, like you can play, pause, resume audio, adjust volume only. Choose audio is where you would pick the album or playlist, and then you can even set the volume when this scene gets triggered. It's awesome. Love it. And so anyway, the update didn't come right away. I kept refreshing. It didn't, like the Home app wasn't saying update available. I tried to go to the Wemo app to see if it would surface it. And then Wemo was like, do you want to remove all your automations to bring your device to Wemo app? I said, no, I ain't messing with that. I'm just going to wait. So I didn't do that. And after a couple of days, it just updated. I looked there yesterday and it was on 2.9.6. And I was like, okay, I guess it's just going to do it by itself. So it did. Just took a couple of days, but man, I love that thing. I'll probably be buying several for the new house.
I was just going to say, like, how many have you bought now since then? How many have you added to cart?
I'm going to wait till I got some other stuff that I bought for the house right off camera that I'm going to be revealing in a moment. But when we get to the new house, I'm definitely going to be getting a few of those because it's just so much easier. Like one press of a button, trigger a bunch of different devices to do a thing, especially with kids who don't always like speak with proper diction. Like it is amazing. So I just want to say as a follow-up, Andrew obviously reviewed it already, but just from my experience, love it, worth it. That's all I'll say. I say that's all I'll say. I just spoke for like 10 minutes on this thing. But anyway. All right, well, you actually have something going on. You got one of the MagSafe products that we talked about last week. Andrew, reveal. What do you have?
Wow. Look at that. I mean, I can't even, the camera recording, I can't even see like what my camera sees. So like, wow, like hoping in frame and
it's there.
Scale. Yeah, you're looking at it even a different camera than I'm recording on this week. So.
Oh, that's true. That doesn't even matter. I don't even know why I said anything. My frame doesn't matter.
This is the Belkin. Okay, hold on. You got to get the full name here. It's only accurate if I say the full name, so that way the 30 Belkin BoostCharge Pro portable wireless charger pad for MagSafe. That's what they have named it.
Sure.
Great name. Love it.
Great. Yeah. Wonderful.
But this thing is awesome, and I'm still just grappling with the price. Like, I'm even asking my wife, like, okay, this is a really cool cable. You know, what would you rate it? And do you think it's worth it? And like, even she's like, I think if it's for something like it's quality, yes, it's more. It may be a ridiculous amount more. It may be things that other people aren't going to pay, but the quality is there, and that's what I feel like with this cable. I mean, they've gotten so many of the little details on it. So you got nylon braided cable. It's got like this heathered fabric look to it, which is really neat and really in right now. Before I even had this, I was writing like a factual pre-write, just going through the basics of this thing that I know before I get it in my hand. And I was like, I feel like it could use a cable tie. And the next thing I know, it shows I'm like, oh, it has a cable tie even built into it. But that is one of my minor downsides to it, is the cable tie is like a little big. Like if you can kind of see it on camera, Steven. Like it's a little loosey-goosey. And especially if you it comes with a 2-meter cable, like 6.6 feet. And if you don't need all that length, maybe you want to wind up part of the cord. And this will do that, but then it just slides right through. So I do wish there was maybe an adjustable cable tie to it, but we're getting pretty darn nitpicky here. It's official MagSafe, 15 watts of power, need at least a 20-watt brick to power it up at 15 watts. It has a soft touch finish to the outside, comes in white or black, though the puck is still always going to be white, regardless of which one you get. The kickstand on the back is metal, and it locks into place so it comes out. It's got the perfect amount of tension to kind of hold it at varying degrees, and it nicely clicks into place when you close it, so it won't open up on you. It's got good collars on the cable, so it's not going to fray here or back on the other end. Like there's just a lot of spot for it to kind of de-escalate any sharp turns that the cable may go through. And I was looking at this and like, man, they did a really good job making this like nice and pretty and pristine. Like there's no regulatory information on it. And I was like, man, how did they get away with that? Like maybe it's on like the inside of the puck. And I'm like opening it up and like, okay, I see like an input listed on there, but otherwise this thing is still so clean. They hit it, Steven, on the inside of the cable tie. The cable tie has regulatory info on it. And I'm like, that is such a good idea. Like no one's looking inside the cable tie, and it just leaves you with this very clean, pristine exterior to the puck itself. So at $60, this thing is not cheap, but I really like it, and it's even more comfortable to hold in your hand because it acts almost like fits into like the crux of your fingers. So it's even more comfortable to hold, I think, than the regular MagSafe puck. So I'm on board. I like this thing a lot. It's just really hard, I think, for a lot of people to spend $60 on what amounts to a cable. I think I understand where they're getting this price point from Apple's. I mean, if Apple's is 40, 60 for this is understandable. But I think if you're going to have issue with this at 60, you have to have issue with Apple's at 40. Apple would have to drop their price for this to come down in price.
And look what you get. I mean, look at this thing. I mean, come on. This is Apple's $40 MagSafe puck right here. Man.
Yeah, I know.
Honestly,
I have Apple's right here. Yeah, and I this is the stupidest thing, but I love it. These things from Nomad. That's a little leather cover for your MagSafe puck. But look, I mean, it looks so much like prettier now. It's not cold.
That's extra, bro. I think that's what that's called. That's extra.
It's the stupidest little thing, but like, there's nothing else like that. Like, I just think it's a cool little touch. Well, I like the other options. Like, I was even like, man, I wish Nomad would come out with like a MagSafe cable, like a legit one, like Belkin did, and do one with like leather stuff, black exterior, and cool things like that. So I think we're gonna see more of these coming down the line. But I think they're all gonna be fairly expensive if they're using those official MFI components.
You know, that is cool. I will not be getting one of those because I mean, man. But anyway, but because we're talking about MagSafe stuff, I also did want to mention I think you covered these already, but do you have one of these Anchor things? These Anchor battery packs?
Yeah, I think there's a couple sitting on the floor over here.
You're gonna pull out a rabbit and then like 18 MagSafe accessories. I just wanted to mention it real quick because I have Apple's MagSafe. You need to watch the video. See, now this is the week to go over to youtube.com/HomeKit Insider because we are both showing multiple products. I'm about to reveal some large things over here that you can't even see. They're off camera. But this is the week to go subscribe to the YouTube channel because we're showing you a bunch of stuff. But anyway, you got Apple's MagSafe battery pack here, which is okay. It actually did come in handy. My wife was going on a field trip with the kids, and for some reason, her Belkin 3-in-1 tree charger, which I gave her after I got the new one, like unplugged or something. So none of her devices charged overnight. And I gave her this one, the Apple one, and she was able to get through the day. So that's pretty sweet. But when it comes to MagSafe battery packs, I also picked up this Anchor one in like the seafoam green type thing. And what's cool is you can actually do one of these things, and it's a kickstand. MagSafe. Look at that. And the other cool thing is I appreciate that Anchor has the little like dots on the bottom to let you know that the battery is fully charged without even having to plug it in. Oh, and USB-C right there. So anyway, I just want to mention that. It's pretty cool device. But have you used that kickstand at all on that Belkin one since you've had it, or is it just kind of?
Yeah, I've been playing with it a few days now. Yeah. I mean, it's very nice. I was even using it kind of like a desk setup just for a little bit because I'm like, I don't have, my desk is in flux and it's a mess. And I was going back and forth on what Thunderbolt dock am I going to use? I found a really nice Thunderbolt 4 one that I liked that had a lot of Thunderbolt 4 ports on it, and it was nice and small and compact, but it lacked the one thing I needed, which was Ethernet. So I have another Thunderbolt 4 one, but it is massive. And I don't want this massive one. So I'm kind of debating between that and then the same thing with my chargers. The charger that I would probably prefer to use would be the Belkin 3-in-1 flat one that I have, and it supports the Apple Watch fast charging, which is a must anymore. But I also don't want a huge, long thing on my desk. I'd prefer a tree stand type one. So I need to if Belkin had an updated tree with the fast charging one, I'd maybe lean towards that, or if somebody else comes out with something. But yeah, so I was trying the Belkin MagSafe one on my desk because it was pretty handy just to leave my phone kind of sideways, propped up, and I was watching some stuff on there while I was working. So it was very handy. And I also think it would be great for travel, just putting on your nightstand and stuff without having to bring in a full dock. Just set it on your nightstand, and there you go. The other option, since we're talking MagSafe, is I've got this guy, the review's up on AI, Presidio Folio from Spec. And it opens up, you got your MagSafe module on the inside, and it'll turn into a little stand.
That's cool.
So you have a full-on stand, and it holds your cable on the inside, and you just plug it in. So the cable is wrapped up in there, which is really handy. You put your phone sideways. This is pretty, and it's so thin, it just slides into your bag. Cool. And yeah, you got a little portable stand for MagSafe.
That's pretty sweet. That's cool. One day I was going to show you the Thunderbolt docks I have, but if I hold them in front of the camera, my entire setup will blow up, as in stop working. And our recording will be messed up. But, I have the OWC Thunderbolt 3 dock, which is Thunderbolt 3. But, it's got the SD cards on the front, micro and regular SD cards, and it's Ethernet on the back and some other stuff. But I have that plus the CalDigit Elements Thunderbolt 4 dock because I needed more Thunderbolt ports. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe one day. Maybe one day we go in depth on our desk spaghetti. Well, that's what we'll call it. That'll be the chapter. But anyway. Okay. Well, I wanted to give a house update. There were so many people that tweeted and emailed me, Instagram DM'd me, a bunch of stuff, and I really appreciate all the info. I mean, there was some like IT professionals, a lot more people than I expected running Unify Wi-Fi stuff in their home, which is amazing. And so just a couple shout outs, because Ryan Off, he DM'd me on Twitter. We had a long conversation. He's got in-depth Unify experience, very helpful. Justin Rasmussen, he sent me an email. We went back and forth on stuff. And then John Myers on Twitter, he works at AT&T. He has a Ubiquity setup. He really went in depth on it. And then Jim Brunn on Twitter actually gave me some info on in-home speakers for the home theater stuff, which we're going to get to. So it's a very exciting time, Andrew. The electrical is going into the house as we speak, as we record. Electrical is going everywhere. I have outlets going in everywhere. And then I'm going in and installing Ethernet and speaker wire. I have a box of 1,000 foot of Ethernet cable, just like off camera. It's here. I got the crimpers. I got the cutters, the ends. I got everything. But I got a couple products I'm very excited about. One, it's not new for our listeners, but because this is like one of the first HomeKit products that I got for the new house, boom! Got the Ecobee.
Nice.
Ecobee thermostat, the new model, which has the Siri support.
The voice
you can do
control.
the Siri voice control. With voice control.
Product names are getting awful, man. That's the Ecobee smart thermostat with voice control.
That, yes. So I'm excited because this is kind of what I think it's the first HomeKit products that I got for the house. So
Good.
That's that one. And so got that. Also ordered a couple Hunter Douglas ceiling fans, smart, HomeKit ceiling fans. Those aren't in yet, but I ordered those. And this next piece, it's going to be difficult to hold. You got to give me a second here. Oh, wait a minute. So this is why you got to watch it on YouTube. This is an in-ceiling speaker. Oh my goodness. Here we go. Okay. YouTube.com/HomeKit Insider. You got to see this. But anyway, this is a in-ceiling speaker, and this is a monoprice one. And I went to Best Buy. Did I talk about my experience at Best Buy? Have I talked about that?
I don't know. I've talked about a lot of things, but I don't know.
I've talked about a lot of things. I don't think I have because I don't remember. Anyway, Best Buy recommended like crazy expensive speakers. They have a Sonance brand, and the guy, he brought me into the room and he was like, these are the best in-ceiling speakers. You got to get them. And they're like $900 a piece. And I was like, no, I'm sorry. I'm not doing that. So, and the thing about the in-ceiling speakers, I'm going with 8-inch because if I want to upgrade them in the future, it's pretty standard. Like I can get other 8-inch speakers that are much higher quality, more expensive down the road. But I'm trying to outfit 2 rooms with this stuff. And so going with, not budget, Monoprice has like a kind of a budget line. This is kind of like a middle one, and then a Monolith brand from Monoprice that's like higher end. But anyway, this is an in-ceiling speaker. I've watched like 1,000 YouTube videos on how to install these. It's very interesting. This is like a magnetic grill. It just attaches via magnets to the front. And then these are actually the angled version because these are going to go behind the sofa, angled towards the sofa, and in another room, they're going to be at the front angled towards. So these are going to be front speakers in one room and then rear in another. So these are angled, and then they also have the same model but flat. And I'll be doing the flat ones for Dolby Atmos speakers that go directly above the couch, pointed straight down.
That's what I was going to ask. Like, that's the one reason I would do like a full-on installed setup is for more accurate Dolby Atmos. So nice.
Yes. And that is what, in one room, I'll be doing a 5.1.2, which is left, right, center speakers by the TV. I'm going to have left and right rears, which are going to be these angled speakers. And then I'm going to do 2 Dolby Atmos speakers that point straight down at the sofa. Again, a lot of the YouTube setups, that's what they talked about. So that setup will actually be Dolby Atmos. I already have my Denon receiver for that. It's from my old house. So that'll be Dolby Atmos. The second room I'm doing won't be Dolby Atmos, I don't think, unless I want to buy like 9 speakers, because the Atmos is the third decimal point. So if you have like 5.1.2, the 5 is your left, center, right, and surround. 0.1 is your sub. 0.2 is the Dolby Atmos. And the Dolby Atmos are supposed to be like right above where you're sitting, pointed straight down. So you can do 5.1.2 or 7.1.2. Probably not going to go all out with that. But today, I also have arriving. It didn't arrive in time for the recording, but next week I'll show it to you. I tried the in-wall subwoofer from Monoprice. It is in-wall. I mean, I didn't even know this was a thing. So we'll see how that sounds. I'm actually going to hook all this stuff up today. And I got like banana plugs for the speaker thing, and like, got speaker cable. I got like hundreds of feet of speaker cable too to run all over the house. So I'm going to like actually plug these into my Denon receiver today just here and see how they sound. We'll see. And I don't know. I'm really excited about this. The magnetic grill thing is really cool.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The one thing,
that's house update.
One suggestion that someone had sent in, and I don't remember where this was or if you had saw it, and I didn't think about this, which I did here in the studio, which is when you do it, your cabling, put conduit, because it makes it a million times easier to swap it down the line. And like that's what I did here for all my studio stuff, was running conduit. That way I can easily just put in a new cable with relative ease whenever I need to, versus having it stuck in and stuck like that. And then I was also seeing this week, like we had been lamenting, Wi-Fi speeds and cable speeds and stuff like that. And what was that AT&T announcement? I can't remember how fast it was.
I don't know. You mean about their like home internet thing or whatever?
Yeah, it was.
They have fiber.
Yeah,
right.
No, but it was it was much more.
We're Googling. We're feverishly Googling. Is it AT&T fiber with gigabit speed?
No, I think it was more than gigabit. It was like 10 gigabit or something. Yeah, they had started to roll out like 10 gigabit, and they promised like fair pricing and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I need to start planning for that. Like, I mean, not like that's coming here, but if I was like doing something, like you're doing, I would be really thinking about, 10 years in the future, 5 years in the future, like where things are going to be and what you need to be prepared for. I also saw that people were complaining about Starlink. Like right after we had talked about it, people were like, oh, yes. I signed up for Starlink and I haven't heard anything from customer support, and they don't answer my emails. It's like...
Yeah. Well, okay, so update on that too. But yeah, the AT&T thing, they will offer symmetrical 2 gigabits up and down and 5 gigabits data speed starting at $110 a month. I was paying $100 for 400 down on Spectrum at my last house.
It does not sound that expensive. Like,
no, not at all. Like,
that's so
up
fair.
And down. That's amazing. So it's coming to 70 metro areas, including Dallas, Los Angeles, and Atlanta, and they'll be expanding it. Listen, where I'm living, this will never come. I mean, I'll just say that. But good news, I know on the last show I stated my horror that Spectrum Cable Internet said they might not service my area, but they did send out somebody to survey the property, and they never called me. Like, they never let me know. So I called them because I was like sweating bullets. I was like, what's the deal? Do I have internet or not? And yes, Spectrum said they do service that area. They actually have, well, at least a gigabit down service in that area. But with cable internet, it's a gigabit down and then like a snail speed up. Yeah, it's like 10 to 20 up, which is insane. But
fun.
At least I have
4K video to YouTube through cable. It's
great. So at least I have cable internet. I'm not going to be dependent on Starlink or some kind of weird in-home cellular hotspot. I have internet at the new house. We'll be able to continue Skyping with reasonable quality. So was very excited about that. And last thing I'll say about the new house, really was researching the Ubiquiti lineup. And it gets a little complicated because with Ubiquiti, you need their like Dream Pro system to like run everything. Like it needs a brain. Plus you need a switch if you want to do power over Ethernet. Then you need the access points. So it can get pricey. Not that much more expensive than getting like 3 Eero Pros. I mean, 3 Eero Pros I think is like $500-$600, maybe more. I know my Linksys Velop system was pretty expensive for just 2 nodes. I think it was like $600 or $700. So it's not that much more expensive, and you're getting a big switch. But the Dream Machine Pro, like you do need something to like run the Ubiquiti setup. I did have one guy, he messaged me and said Ubiquiti, I guess, had a breach last year. And like that was a little bit concerning. And a bunch of IT people who were using Ubiquiti have gone to something else called, I don't remember what it is called. It started with an A. Forgive me. I need to find that. But it's another like IT grade in-home Wi-Fi setup that I guess people are going to. So I'm still probably going to go with Ubiquiti just because it's like I understand it now. I've done enough, like I've sat on their website enough and read things enough to get what I need to do it. The breach was solved, and like for residential things, like, you know, it's pretty safe. So anyway, I'm so sorry. I will find that other company. Shoot, why didn't I put that in the note, Andrew? Why didn't you remind me?
I don't know what you're doing.
To put that in the note. I don't even know how to get to my email now. Well, forget it. Just I don't know what's happening. Oh, wait a minute. I was muting myself, wasn't I? So Andrew doesn't know I was muting myself because I was trying to do the keyboard shortcut to open my mail inboxes, and it wasn't working. So anyway, yeah. Oh, Aruba. I found it. Aruba is the name of... Look at this. Aruba Instant On. This was sent to me by Justin Rasmussen, who I mentioned before. And this is another kind of like IT level Wi-Fi system. Again, used in a lot of commercial situations, but you can use it in your home. I'll put a link to this Aruba Instant On in the show notes. But keep your recommendations coming. Again, if you guys have experience with the in-ceiling, in-wall speakers, in-wall subwoofers, any tips on how to really make it good, or any, you know, running into issues. I did get rough in mounting things, which like you basically put this little circle bracket where you want the in-ceiling speakers, and when the drywall people come in, they'll cut the holes for you, which is amazing. I'm not gonna have to like sit there and cut my own ceiling, which I really didn't want to do. So pretty excited for that. And yeah, I'll update everybody next week too. Things are happening fast over there. So anyway, that's my house update. Boom.
Wonderful.
Done. All right. Well, should we try and get some listener questions here? Let's see what we got.
I guess we could take a look at a few listener questions.
That's it. We got to do it. So Andrew Williams on Twitter, he was actually just telling about his Leviton switches, and he wanted to brag on Leviton because he had some fan switches that stopped working, and apparently his model Leviton switch was discontinued, but he contacted Leviton support, and they sent him the second-gen Leviton model with HomeKit compatibility just as a replacement to fix his broken switch. So kudos on Leviton. Great customer support. Very nice. Cool.
I like those, especially their new ones that have like that second, they're Wi-Fi based, and they have that second switch that you can, like the anywhere switch, that's either a switch or a dimmer. So you can have like, you have a room with one wall switch, now you have two. You can literally just put a second wall switch in, and they all work with HomeKit, which is great.
Boom. Ian actually had a recommendation when we get back to our best of HomeKit categories. We did a few weeks of that at the end of last year, kind of highlighting specific categories in HomeKit. Talk about wired HomeKit devices. You know, so you can either have Ethernet connection, so you don't have to depend on Wi-Fi, or hardwired power. We'll try to include that as we go. Again, some things just, you know, like if you're looking at a doorbell camera, we've talked about before, the Robin Pro line is the only option for like a hardwired HomeKit camera.
I mean, they're all hardwired to power, really, almost all of them.
Hardwired power.
But then, yeah, right. Without like Ethernet, internet, that's really the only one. Even cameras in general, there's almost none that work over Ethernet, unless you're looking at like the Iota. I think that's got the Abode Iota has Ethernet into it. But most of the rest, all on Wi-Fi. There's very few that are over. I mean, we can talk about this at greater length in a different thing, but all sensors are pretty much going to be battery powered, and anything that's going to be like connected over the Ethernet versus Wi-Fi is going to be something like hub based, like getting like the Aqara sensors that'll go over Zigbee to a hub that's plugged into Ethernet, but you still have to worry about wireless networking still.
Right. Yeah. Okay, so we'll try to include that when we get back to our category roundup again with all the new home stuff and news. You know, not sure when we'll get back to that, but we will. Aaron Rulig on Twitter was asking us about the Wemo Stage controller and asked, can it control HomePods? Like if you want to mount HomePods up high, can you shuffle a playlist or change the volume? And like we just said in the earlier segment, absolutely, Wemo Stage controller control HomePods either playing something, strictly adjusting the volume right from this Wemo Stage controller. So yes, you can. Great question.
Which I love that I think we've talked about it a little bit on the show, but that there are all those like wall mounts for HomePod and HomePod minis, or ceiling mounts. Like you can literally mount like HomePod balls to like your ceiling, like the HomePod mini ones. Like there's a lot out there that people have thought of, and it's really cool.
I am hoping maybe at WWDC that Apple will introduce some kind of either home theater, virtual surround, or allow you to use HomePod minis as like surround speakers. Because right now you can use 2 HomePods for audio with your Apple TV, and they even say, at least with the larger HomePod, you could get Dolby Atmos, virtually, which it does sound really good. I have 2 big HomePods hooked up to my TV. It sounds great. It does virtualize some of that surround, but how awesome would it be if you could have use my 2 HomePod minis in the back as surround, and the Apple TV could just figure it out. That would be a lot of data to move over Wi-Fi. If you had 5 channels, let's say 5 HomePods, but it'd be cool.
Well, okay. Here's your hope. I don't think we're going to see anything at DubDub, but recent rumors have said that the AirPods Pro 2 are going to have a new wireless codec for lossless audio. I don't see why, if you're going from your phone, your Mac, your Apple TV, whatever, to your AirPods, why you couldn't do the same thing from your Apple TV to your HomePods, and you're going to have a higher quality audio streamed, and possibly, like you said, you're going to need more bandwidth there, right? So if you have more bandwidth, maybe it'll be enough to do multi-point surround versus just your 2 stereo output speakers. So it's a possibility there, but people have said that it might be called AirPlay 3. AirPlay 2 came out quite a while ago, so it's a possibility.
Very cool. All right. Next one from Alex Hall on Twitter. He was asking, are there other options for motors that you can put on a curtain rod or something with curtains to automate the curtains without buying smart shades specifically? Aqara has announced that they have their curtain motor coming. It's not available just yet. Other than that, there's the SwitchBot one, which we've talked about before, which doesn't have HomeKit right now. You can automate it with Siri shortcuts, and you can control it from the SwitchBot app, obviously. But other than those 2, and again, the Aqara is coming, I do not know of another option. Do you know any?
The one that I saw at CES is still coming to the U.S. That's from Wachow. WACIAOW or something like that. Wachow. But they had 3 different... Yeah, I assume it's basically... I assume they're going to hire Owen Wilson to do Wachow. From Cars. Yeah, that's what they're going to do.
Oh, yes. Wachow.
Yeah, they're going to do that. But yeah, no, they're still launching in the U.S., I believe. I haven't gotten any information from them. I've talked to them since CES, but I don't have any launch windows, anything like that. But they do have a few different motor options for curtains, blinds, that kind of stuff.
Okay, cool. Well, coming soon, hopefully. This next question is from YSR50 on Twitter. And you have more experience than I do on this, but how weatherproof are doorbell cameras like the Logitech one, Wemo, and Arlo? Would you bother installing one if your house had no porch or overhang cover? So I assume maybe you have a door that just kind of is right outside. There's no covering. How weatherproof are these doorbell cameras? Have you put a bucket of water on these to test them, Andrew?
I have not, but I also wouldn't. Well, I wouldn't have a bucket of water on them, but I wouldn't have any problems putting them outside. I would not have an issue. So the IP65 rating, able to protect against jets of water from any angle. That's what you're looking at. So you can't submerge this, but it's able to handle jets of water from any angle. That's what the IP65 rating means. And that's going to be more than enough for handling snow and rain that you're going to encounter outside of your house. They should be just fine. So yeah, I have some outside that are not covered by a porch, in the backyard and stuff. There's maybe a little bit of an overhang, but I'm not worried one little bit.
Okay, very cool. Well, there you go. All right, one more question, and we have more, but we'll get to them hopefully next week. This is from Derek on Twitter. He has a question. Having 2 wired HomeKit doorbells, did you have to upgrade your transformer, or do you run into any battery charging issues? How did you hook up both? Now, I think he is asking, why are you slowly turning? What's happening? Are you leaving? What's going on? What is happening?
Are you going to finish what you were going to say?
Well, I think Derek is assuming that maybe you tried to hook up 2 doorbells on the same door to test or whatever. And so maybe that's why you need, he's asking about transformer or issues, splicing the wires to 2. But I think you did it like two different doors, like a front door, back door, right?
I assumed he was talking about like maybe a house that has two doorbells. Maybe you got like a side door and a front door, and both have doorbells attached to them. And if a HomeKit version was drawing additional power versus a standard doorbell, and you needed to
Gotcha.
install an additional transformer, I don't know the official answer, and
Sure.
I always get nervous, like recommended any sort of wiring, anything.
Yeah.
Because
Don't blow up your home.
I don't want you to blow/burn your house up. So don't do anything that I'm going to tell you to do. But for me, you can buy power supplies that are rated for doorbells. Like there's a bunch on Amazon that are rated for Rings and all sorts of other video doorbells. Like they're just literally little boxes and a long wire. You get the two little ends and you just connect it to your doorbell, and they run just fine. I have tested a lot of doorbells, and this setup has worked for all of mine. So right now I have like 3 wired doorbells around my house, and they're all just running off of these little power supplies. So that seemed to work for me. I don't actually have a doorbell setup at my house, so I don't have any way of like actually installing these into your normal house's wiring system. I don't have to plug anything into the chimes in the back. I just plug these directly into power and run them that way. So that has worked for me, but how safe are these? I don't know. So that's what I always have to like skirt that question. Like, oh, why didn't you install the transformer? Why didn't you install the chimes? Because I didn't. I'm running it off a power supply, and I mean I legit have these outside. Like I have nothing wrong with it, and the one by my front door I siliconed into the corner so you can't see the wire or anything like that. Like it looks all nice and clean, but it does give me issues like this. Like I don't know. I have 3, but I didn't wire them incorrectly. So don't come at me.
Andrew's not liable for any the power legal disclaimer. Yeah, like that. Okay. Don't blame Andrew if you blow something up. Okay. He's legally absolved. What is the like when you get totally immunity? Is it immunity? Something like that. Legally you cannot be prosecuted for this whatever. Amnesty.
Legal indemnity. We are lawyers. Look at us.
No, we are clearly not. But what we should convince you of, listener, is again to go to youtube.com/HomeKit Insider, subscribe and watch the shows there. Again, we showed lots of stuff on camera today, so that was a lot of fun. You can comment there. Also, if you haven't yet, give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts. We'd love to give you a shout out at the top of the show for those who leave those ratings. And what else do we plug usually? I don't remember. I don't know.
I don't know. It's one of those days, man. One of those days.
I don't know. Well, anyway, I'm gonna keep updating everybody on house stuff, and next week,
be excited
Jennifer
for next
Toohey.
Week. Yeah, I was just gonna say
next
that's
week,
our
Jennifer.
plug.
Yeah, that is our plug. Next week, Jennifer Toohey from The Verge is going to be joining us. That's going to be a lot of fun. So thanks again for tuning in, HomeKit fam, HomeKiteers. Catch you next time.